Hello Internet, I am the hero of Julios, once again with another episode of D&December, Majora's Mask. We've done it! We've defeated every single boss. We have taken down the swamp, the mountain, the ocean, and the canyon temples, and have now summoned the four who are there. However, that's not where the story ends. Now we must fight the incarnation of evil itself, the monstrosity that lives within the moon itself, Majora. Majora is a three-parter, so get your players ready for this. Make sure you have enough cheesy puffs and delicious soda to survive this lengthy battle, as I have made 3 stat blocks for each of the individual forms, starting with Majora's Mask. Before we begin with Majora's Mask's actual stats, it does have one ability that I would really like you to consider. It has the power to possess a character for indefinite amount of time. Because of this, I would recommend trusting this to a player who is A, willing to play 2 characters at the end of the campaign, one that played the campaign and one that was saved, but also one who's willing to lose a character, as if they fail the 30 charisma saving throw, they are possessed by the mask indefinitely. Because of this, Majora has access to anything that character can do. The downside is Majora's Mask loses all of its own natural abilities. However, once the mask is free and no longer needs its puppet, Majora's Mask has the ability to float around the battlefield, shooting lasers and coming down like a giant spinning disc of death. It is not afraid of the players, and it's not afraid to get up close and personal, though it does prefer to float above the players, mocking them from below. It cannot be knocked prone due to its floating nature, but it has one particular weakness: radiant damage. If your players are going throughout the campaign with normal classes, paladins and clerics are not going to have a hard time. However, if you're playing in a Legend of Zelda setting, aside from light arrows, radiant is a very difficult damage type to come by. Because of this, Majora is a difficult fight even in his base mask form. To up the ante a little bit, you can repossess the 4 remains of the final bosses from the individual temples, and they serve as just kind of floating minions who shoot little beams at the players in order to deal a little bit of extra damage. These guys are pretty easy to take down. Don't, super focus on the fact that they're there. If your players don't get rid of them, they're a minor nuisance, but shouldn't be a huge threat on their own. Once you've defeated Majora's Mask, however, the mask is not done with you. It sprouts limbs and gains a little head with a single eye on it, and begins to Michael Jackson moonwalk, literally, across the battlefield. This guy has a whopping 30 armor class as Majora's incarnation. Now I know what you're thinking. 30 armor class is almost impossible to hit outside of natural 20s. However, you can hit it with some saving throws, or if you manage to hold person to get it to stop moving. 100 feet of movement is rather difficult to hit, but Majora's Incarnation doesn't actually do a ton of damage. Its main goal is to just annoy your players. It shoots little sparks that deal D4s of damage, and it just runs really, really fast. Furthermore, it does not invoke opportunity attacks of any of its abilities, and I decided, just for fun, to give it one of the coolest abilities of the lamest mini-boss in all of Majora's Mask. Wizrobe is a guy that can bounce around the map, and he's got a ton of different little versions, or not little versions, but echoes of himself waiting to hit you. However, if you have a map, you can hit him really easy. I could go on forever about how much I dislike Wizrobe, but Wizorb's ability is something I gave to Majora's Incarnation, allowing him to pop back to a spot that he was once at. But with this 30 armor class comes a major weakness. Not only does he have an incredibly low health pool for a creature of his challenge rating, Majora's Incarnation also drops to 0 armor class if he is hurt at all. This fight could take your players an entire hour, or it could take your players a minute. It really just depends on whether or not they get a good hit on it. Majora's Incarnation is just that, an incarnation of what is to come. And what is to come, you ask? Probably one of the most difficult bosses in, well, probably the most difficult boss in Majora's Mask, unless you're me, in which case that's the fish, but I could go into greater detail later. Majora's Wrath. Majora's Wrath throws all common sense out the window. He loses the ability to speak Common and can only speak Majora. Furthermore, he has two massive whips that he'll slam the players with for huge amounts of damage. And, if he's got it on his recharge, he can spin attack with those whips, hitting all of your players. That means the wizard all the way back there, he's getting hit too. But Majora's Wrath doesn't stop there. He's got legendary resistance, legendary actions to grab and throw players with his whips. He is resistant and immune to many different damage types, and almost every condition doesn't affect him. Unless you hit him with radiant damage. That is his vulnerability. He will take double damage if it's radiant. Majora's Wrath is kind of on the lower side for HP, but I felt that would compensate for all the abilities I gave him. Regardless, if you defeat him, your players can breathe a sigh of relief, as Majora's Wrath has been defeated, and therefore the moon has been swooped up away, and the people of Termina, or whatever homebrew world you've made, are safe once again. So, go enjoy that wedding. You've earned it. But, what if you wanted to fight Majora with, how shall we say, easy mode switch? We'll talk about that tomorrow. Thank you for watching as always, and I will see you in the next video. This is the Hero of Julios, Xing out.